Before we do roll call, good evening, everyone. As you know, we are currently undergoing renovations at the Community Meeting Center. So for the next couple of months, we'll be holding our meetings here at the Courtyard Center, unless otherwise advertised. Just a couple of housekeeping items. If you are a speaker tonight, we would ask that you fill out a pink card with our city clerk. I will be calling 3 speakers at a time to give everyone a chance to enter the chambers during oral communications. Our Assistant City Manager, Kingsley Okereke, will be acting as our timer. You will have 5 minutes to speak, and Mr. Okereke will hold up a yellow card when you have 30 seconds remaining, and then a red card when your time is up. To meet fire code regulations, you must have a seat to be able to be in the chambers. Otherwise, we would ask that you sit in the overflow area of the courtyard. If the courtyard seating is full, we would ask you to stand outside the courtyard area, and we will notify you when it is your turn to speak. Finally, if you need to use the restrooms, they are located within the courtyard area. Okay. Madam Clerk.
Okay. Roll call. Councilmember Beard.
Here.
Councilmember Bowie.
Here.
Councilmember Fawn.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Jones.
Here.
Mayor Nguyen.
Yes. I'd like to invite everybody to please rise and ask Mr. Okereke to lead us in the invocation.
Okay, please prepare yourself according to your faith. Heavenly Father, we humbly ask that you bless all who are assembled here this evening and the work we seek to do for our beloved city, Garden Grove. Help us to work in harmony as we seek to make the best decisions for our community. Amen.
Amen. Please face the flag. Put your right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have a presentation tonight.
Yes, we have a community spotlight tonight recognizing Ann Liu, the recipient of the 2015 Alexander Hamilton Citizenship Achievement Award. And Kingsley Okereke will be giving that report.
Great.
Okay. Tonight, the Garden Grove City Council is pleased to recognize Ann Liu for receiving the 2015 Alexander Hamilton Citizenship Achievement Award. Would Ann please come forward to the mic? Ann moved to the United States from Vietnam in 2008. He at the time struggled with English, but after 2 years of practice, he excelled in everything that he's been involved in, and recently was accepted to Oxford Academy in Orange County. The Hamilton Citizenship Achievement Award recognizes outstanding high school juniors for their academic, personal, and service achievements. The selected students are enrolled in the Hamilton Leaders Academy, a multi-year college and career preparatory program. They also receive a cash scholarship. This is the 10th year the award has been presented nationally by the Alexander Hamilton Friends Association, a nonprofit organization. And received the award earlier this year for his outstanding accomplishments and community service. And participated in the Youth Leadership America program, where he networked with business leaders and students from across the globe. He is currently an alumni coordinator for the Youth Leadership America program and helps to manage and connect students within the alumni network. As a project chair in his school's Key Club, he plans fundraising events from marathons to charity brunches. And also works with Project Eliminate, an organization focused on stopping maternal, neonatal tetanus, and over the past 3 years, he has supported their mission by coordinating fundraisers, food drives, and donation jar campaigns. At this time, the Mayor and City Council would like to present Ann Liu with a gift in appreciation and recognition of his achievements. The city wishes you much success in your future endeavors.
Did you want to say a few words onto? We're going to test your public speaking skills. No? Okay, I guess not. Sorry. Congratulations. We're all very proud. Okay, we're going to move into our oral communications for the City Council and also the successor agency. They're going to be done simultaneously. Pink cards go to Ms. Kathy Baylor. First person up, Robin Marcario. She's been busy.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, staff, Garden Grove residents. I'm Robin Marcario, a lifelong resident here in our city, and I've served as your appointed Orange County Mosquito Vector Control Trustee for the last 4 years. I've attended every meeting in that 4 years' time. It's once a month, the third Thursday of each month. I also give a presentation here. You've often heard me speak about how to get rid of mosquitoes in your backyard. And during that presentation, I like to give steps that people can take to eliminate breeding sources. And have a look in your backyard or while you're out on a walk. Look for any kind of pools of water. Look for underneath your little pots where that little water sits, or your pet bowls where it gets a little green. Those are perfect spots for mosquitoes to breed. Mosquitoes only need a little tiny cap full of water to breed thousands of them. Also, you want to make sure that your screens and doors are repaired properly so that they don't enter your home. You also want to make sure that while you're out, limit your exposure in the early morning and in the evening outdoors. And if you are outdoors, make sure you're wearing long sleeves and long pants, and wear some kind of insect repellent so that you don't get bit. Last year here, countywide, we had 280 cases of West Nile virus. That is, you contract that from an infected mosquito. The numbers of infected mosquitoes this year are equal to the same numbers of infected mosquitoes. We trap them and we test them to see what the numbers are, and they are the equivalent to the epidemic rates last year. We had 9 associated deaths associated with West Nile virus. We've planned an aerial spraying for Wednesday and Thursday evening to control the adult mosquito population. Our existing program for the last 49 years that we have been a public service, public health agency is to control the larvicide programs. Little free fish that you can put in your green pools and ponds that eat the larvae. The treatments that are done, we have scheduled thousands and thousands. Our technicians go out and are treating these sites, whether they're in public areas or in private areas. It's been primarily just to get the larvae. But because of last year's epidemic rates, we put together a response plan. And as part of that plan, with the health department suggested we do so, we put together a plan, a criteria, a response plan, including looking into contractors to do an aerial spraying. The spraying is scheduled for Wednesday evening and Thursday between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. We've chosen those time frames because that's when the mosquitoes are most active and every other little creature, including people, are mostly asleep, right? So we wanted to do it during the evening so that you would get the mosquitoes. That's why we've chosen that time frame. This decision did not come lightly to me personally, excuse me, I'm going to step back here, or the board, because it's the first time we've had to resort to this. But because we know there are so many infected mosquitoes out there, we are going to have as many cases. It's like we have a precursor. We know how many infected mosquitoes are out there, and this is the resort. This is what we have to do to control the adult mosquito population. I've posted on Facebook, I've responded to emails, I've spoke with people personally. The city's done a wonderful job of posting the public notice and the links directly to Orange County Vector Control. I thank the council and the city for doing your part to inform the public about what's going to happen, and that it is in fact for the public health, it's for the benefit of the public. The reason we've made this decision is to save lives. So with that, I'll close, and after you have oral communications, I'm available. I also have Jared Dever from the Orange County Vector Control. He's one of our upper management, the public relations person. He's versed and can answer any questions. We also have a contractor from the aerial control. So you'll have all of these experts to give you the questions and answer those that you
Ms.
and the
Marcario.
public have. Thank you.
I do
so
have a
much.
question for
Yes,
you.
please.
When was this spraying on the Vector Control Board?
Point of order. Can we hold off? Can we get the public comments and then have our comments back?
She's our representative, and she's standing right there.
Okay,
And-
well, I'm sure there's other people who want to talk on this as well as some experts, so maybe we could hold off our comments until the very end.
I'm the chair of the meeting, sir.
I would recommend we follow procedure and just ask to receive all the public comments on this and then ask questions of any experts or a representative.
Ms. Marcario, please answer the question.
It was at our last meeting, the third Thursday of last month, was with the final decision. But we have been planning this since last year by doing the research, doing the response plan, learning from last year to be prepared for this eventuality if it presented itself. If the criteria was met, then we would be prepared with all the permits and the contracts and everything lined up.
Thank you, Ms. Marcario.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Josh McIntosh?
Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff members, and the general public who've decided to come here tonight. Thank you all for participating. My name is Josh McIntosh. I'm a fourth-generation Garden Grove resident, homeowner, and small business owner. And today's my birthday. I'm 42.
Happy birthday.
So, reaching this middle-age mark, I've come to think about my own immortality and the lack of it, actually. I own a historic home, as several of you would know, just down Stanford Avenue here. And you know what? I'm getting older, seeing the doctor a little bit more often, and this and that, and I've started thinking about my house. I have no children. I don't know who the heck's going to own it when I pass away. And things like that get to me. It actually keeps me up at night sometimes, thinking about in 50 years from now what's going to happen to this 1888 Victorian home. There's not many left in Garden Grove. In fact, I don't know when the last time we did a historic resources survey. I think it was maybe 86. We did the last one. And if you look at that historic resources guide, which is available in the planning department, you'll find that more than half of those homes are now bulldozed or have become other kinds of properties. And that bums me out. I recently resigned as vice president of Orange County Historical Society, and I'm not as active as I used to be. However, we were having a little study session the other night, and we started talking about the Mills Act. Now, I've requested Garden Grove adopt the Mills Act for, I don't know, close to a decade now, and it's been kind of stymied. So I would like the council to agendize us discussing adopting the Mills Act before we run out of historic homes in this city. I believe we've got more massage parlors than historic homes now, and that's sad. This weekend, if you went down to the Orange Circle for the annual street fair, you know, most people love seeing all those old homes preserved, and even seeing new structures that are built to look like the old homes, and it really builds up the area, raises the values of the neighborhoods, and I think that's a win-win. With so very few homes left, the cost of being a Mills Act city would be very small, yet the rewards would be huge. So I'd like this council to agendize that for next council meeting or coming up very soon. I'll be happy to have a presentation and some extra speakers. Thank you.
Kelly Kramer, and then Tony Flores, and then Stephanie Kloffenstein. Steen.
Good evening, I'm Kelly Kramer. I'm a third-generation Garden Grovian, and I just want to say hi to everyone. I am speaking in opposition to the aerial spraying. Some of the reasons being that this kills not only the bad insects, but some of the good insects. With only 5 cases reported thus far and a serious drought, I don't feel the spraying of my home and my county is worth the health of my family, nor the enormous expense to the taxpayers. I request that possibly some alternatives be presented, maybe sterile releases, spot treatments, stronger educational efforts to try and curb the growth or the birth of the mosquitoes. My understanding is that Duet is the agent that is going to be sprayed across our county, and 89% of the ingredient states other ingredients. I don't feel comfortable with that. As far as that concerns, we are assaulted with chemicals across our environment, and I'll take my chances with the mosquitoes. They're a natural part of our world. Outdoor pets, wildlife, aquatic life, and the homeless are also the unintended bystanders of this aerial spray. In the late 80s, the malathion spraying caused damage to the properties across the areas that it was sprayed. I think vector control in the county would find that if the public was given a larger or a more lengthier notice, that you would have a larger outcry to the opposition of the spraying. And I don't trust chemical companies, drug companies that profit from the chemicals that they dump into our environment, and then the drugs that they create to treat the cancers and the diseases that these chemicals cause. Thank you.
Tony Flores, and then John Holm, and then Adrian Holm.
Good evening, council, staff. I'm Tony Flores. A lot of spraying going on. We've been getting sprayed by long-term career politicians with BS for quite some time. So the spray that's coming down, who knows where it's going to fall? I haven't done any research on that, but here's what I'm here to talk about. We're a nation of laws, supposedly, pick and choose. Right now, watching what's going on across our nation, for example. I'm not a homosexual and I don't smoke pot, so I'm going to speak objectively, I think. There's a woman that's being thrown in jail because of religious beliefs. She's not giving out those gay marriage licenses. That's her deal. Keeping that, it's a federal law. Here's my point. On that side, it's a federal law and you got to follow the law. But on this side, as I understand it, I believe marijuana is still against a federal law. But we've got all these little herb places that are popping up, and nobody's being tossed in jail. So I think it's an interesting dichotomy that we're seeing. Because we're not following laws, I don't believe, one way or the other. And if we do, it's just subjective or when we feel like it sort of thing. Here's a prime example. Let me bring it back home right now. Right now, we're still waiting for the Orange County DA's office to make a decision on the Broadwater bar lag deal. Thanks for paying attention, Steve. I know you're looking at your thing there. We've got a real problem over there because they haven't made a decision. It's been there since December 2014. And we're all up in arms about a person being hired with 10 arrests and 4 convictions. And I don't know if he's still in the, working right now, if he's on the desk or if he's out in the field. I don't know where young Broadwater is right now. But I do know that that case is at the DA's office. It's a pretty thick case. It's got quite a few issues in there. I know because I wrote it. And I'm wondering what's going to go on with it. I think you folks that are alleged suspects can probably rest easy because I don't think the DA is going to do a whole lot with it. But what's interesting is that we as taxpayers are paying for this. We've got a retired fire chief that came back and got himself a hell of a gig. In July of 2014, the council put together a list of all the high-paying jobs, and that job wasn't on it. 2 months later, this cat gets this gig that's paying, what, almost $500,000. Nobody seems to be crying about that. Then we have a mayor now, our new mayor, our recently elected mayor, who's fracturing the municipal code as I see it. And I know I'm not an attorney. I know Mr. Sandoval has made his opinion, but he's made an opinion right off the cuff. Has no case law, no statutes, no attorney general opinion to back up what he's saying, which I've asked for. Haven't seen it yet, and maybe you're going to get that to me sometime soon. But to give any a semblance or appearance of a conflict of interest, it should have been sent to the DA's office. Or we follow the municipal code where it says the council shall make a findings of fact. You guys got to read that. I never alleged that Mr. Nguyen was involved in any money laundering scheme or trying to gain bucks or any pecuniary gain or monetary gain. That's not what it says. But he did tie up an officer for almost a half hour when we've got problems out on the street. Where crime's up, what, 42, 43%, depending who you're talking to? I think that's a problem. And I'm waiting for my public record request that talks about how many officers, excuse me, my question, how many officers were on duty at that time, what kind of calls we had pending. Haven't seen it. Turn that in August 16th. We've got a great technology department in the city of Garden Grove. I really don't believe it's going to take that long to get the information that I've asked for. I can't believe that. But I do think, Mr. Nguyen, you need to take a look at what you're doing, because if you're going to fracture laws now, it's going to only be a matter of time where you get into your own bar-like Broadwater fiasco, which I think you should avoid. And I'll be glad to talk about that any time, because you have taken information from me on other subjects as well. You can still do it now. Getting back to my records request, I do want to say this. And hopefully I think the people in the City Hall pray that I'm the only citizen that's like me. There shouldn't be anybody else, and I believe there is a law. You folks would pass that tonight. But I do want to say this. The professional folks at City Hall that deal with the requests, Ms. Kathy Baylor and Denise Keene, fantastic people. Great communicators. They're responsive, professional, courteous. That's what makes it easy to deal with those folks. And I believe they deserve a pat on the back, especially taking questions from citizens like me on the subjects that we're taking. Now, they're under some guidance themselves, and I know they're under their rules and regulations, but they do a heck of a job getting the information that they can get while other information is tied up and it's being mulled over. But in any case, thanks for your time.
Stephanie Klopfenstein.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and staff. My name is Stephanie Klopfenstein. I'm a longtime resident of Garden Grove and a board member of the Garden Grove Neighborhood Association. I come before you this evening to voice my concern, my continued concern and apprehension at the Vector Control's decision to use aerial spraying methods on selected cities in this county, especially here in Garden Grove. There is so much information out there right now. I could speak on this topic for hours. My letter, which I sent to you all, I think you received it on Monday, details my concerns. And I'd also like to make it known that I'm not insensitive to those that are suffering or have suffered from the West Nile virus. I know how serious this is, and I do not take this lightly, no matter what side you are on this matter. To start off, I'd like to share the mission statement of the Orange County Vector Control District. It says to provide the citizens of Orange County with the highest level of protection from vectors and vector-borne diseases. And I'd also like to go on to share some of the values that are bullet pointed underneath that mission statement. One of them is to respond effectively and courteously to the needs of the public. With all due respect, when I called on September 3rd, which is the day I found out about this spraying, I was laughed at and treated very sarcastically by someone at Vector Control. I don't consider that to be very courteous. Another one of the values is to inform and educate the public about the shared responsibility of Vector Control. Vector Control informed the public way too late. This was obviously done with a closed-door session. They didn't want our opinions, and if they didn't want our opinions because they didn't bring this to our attention sooner. Where's the community involvement? How are we truly being empowered and included? Why is this aerial spraying not a shared decision? Where's the transparency? And I just feel that some questions need to be answered. Another one of their value statements is utilize the most effective and safest methods available for the control of vectors. The MSDS and the label for Duet clearly show and factually show how unsafe this is. And those are readily available to all of you online. And so are copious other articles about the health risks. I'll read you a couple of the warnings from those lists. That says to keep out of reach of children, and I remind everyone that school started in Garden Grove today. Hazardous if inhaled. We haven't really discussed the drift issue here. This product is toxic to bees. The pesticide is highly toxic to aquatic organisms, including fish and aquatic invertebrates, and also potable water supplies. The Orange County Register on September 6th stated that so far this year we have about 5, maybe 6 now, cases of West Nile virus and no fatalities. Yet in 2014, we had over 280 and 9 fatalities. So I have to ask the question, if we had so many in 2014, why was this discussion not brought to the public's attention then, and why are we spraying now? The Duet Q&A fact sheet, which is posted on the Vector Control website, poses a very important question. It says, will this eliminate our mosquito population? And the answer is no. This will not eliminate all mosquitoes. Killing adult mosquitoes or adulticiding or spraying helps to control the size of mosquito population, but it does not, and prevent the disease. But please listen to this. Mosquito populations are consistently dying and then regenerating. And adulticiding will not eliminate all the adult mosquitoes. And then it goes on to say that we may need more spraying. We're about to open Pandora's box, in my opinion. If we spray the next 2 days, then why not again in 6 months? And why not again every mosquito season going forward? Council, I've heard at meetings frequently that I've attended, you say you need more facts, you need more time to go over some hard data, you need more information. And I'm asking for more time right now. I implore Vector Control, the City of Garden Grove, and surrounding cities to halt the spraying that's scheduled for Wednesday and Thursday of this week. Please respect the citizens of Orange County enough to give us a chance to have a deeper discussion and more input on this matter. Thank you.
John Holm. Then following Adrian Holm will be Rebecca Nelson.
Your Honor, the honorable members of the City Council, honorable members of the staff, my name is John Holm. I'm a 35-year resident of Garden Grove and also a homeowner. And I'm here tonight to talk about a single subject, ethics. It's defined as the professional standard of performance. It's the foundation for our social structure. Courtesy and trust are built upon respect for one another. Recently, we have forgotten courtesy and replaced it with wasted dialogue without structure and without purpose. Recent City Council members' meetings have introduced a contagious level of insults, pushing aside important financial interest. There is a financial tsunami offshore headed directly towards the city of Garden Grove. Already the cities of Vallejo, San Bernardino, Mammoth Lakes, and Stockton, California have gone bankrupt. Do not forget the fiduciary responsibility of the City Council to oversee the budget and protect the city from bankruptcy. Let us return to courtesy, trust, and ethics by starting with Robert's Rules of Order, which I notice you already have, and I salute you. Ethics.
Adrian Holm.
Mayors, City Council, and staff, I too, Adrian Holm, am a longtime resident of Garden Grove. And as Tony Flores brought up at the last council meeting, the recent article in the Orange County Weekly about Mayor Wynn's conversation with a uniformed police officer in which you degraded a council member was out of line and not fitting for the office of mayor. I am disappointed at what I feel has not been a sincere apology to the residents of Garden Grove, the police department, and your fellow councilmen. The article, along with the lack of a sincere apology, the article along with a photo of you at City Hall maligned our police department at a time when we should be supporting them 100%. They're out there putting their lives on the line for us every day. For you to represent our city and in what is so loosely called a newspaper and not refute that article, to me, is a travesty. Thank you.
Rebecca Nelson. Vanessa Baron. Following Vanessa Baron will be Jared Deaver, and then Paul Nelson.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council staff, and dedicated members of the board. My name is Vanessa Barron. I'm a citizen of Orange County. I live in 2 different places, Mission Viejo, California, as well as Santa Ana. I have 2 senior members of my family that live in Santa Ana in the spray zone for this week's spray. I work with a sect of local population who are chemically injured and suffering with toxin-induced loss of tolerance, a recognized disability by our state disability office. These people, we now know through modern science. The modern science is called, let me get my notes, nutrigenomics. Most doctors don't even know about this modern technology right now, that we are now testing people genetically. In doing so, we find that 28% on average of the population suffers from the inability to detox chemicals such as Duet that is about to be sprayed above our living area. These people do not have the ability to do what is called medically to methylate, or for their cells to detox, like you might have window washers on your front dashboard window. With that said, I'm very concerned about this particular sect of the population. I work with different people from Hodgkin's lymphoma, cancer, immune-compromised children, and we have found medically that these people with this inability genetically to detox are up to 1,000 to 1,100 times more sensitive than your average bear, so to speak, walking around inhaling these substances. Some of these people you might see at Mother's Market wearing carbon-filtered masks and living quite a different life. They can no longer work in some of our public facilities because they need to wear masks. They can no longer be around things such as Glade plugins and the like. I am encouraging this board to consider the fact that we have not done very much informing of the public, because this is what I do for a living, and I was just notified yesterday morning that this spraying was indeed going to take place above my parents' home and my home. I am not okay with this at all. I would like to know if you as a board and members of the board know for a fact that we as a public have in this county looked at every non-toxic option. For example, soybean oil. It's in controlled studies. Soybean oil has been incredibly effective for complete avoidance of mosquito bites versus low-end DEET and some of the chemicals that we now know are so much more toxic. I would just, as a public member, like the exact kind of warning as I was talking to Vector Control earlier today at a meeting at their office. I told them, I know something that this month, if I go over 60 gallons of water in my home, the water utilities gave me a lot of information, a lot of warning that I'm going to pay, so to speak, through the nose for that water. I have not had, and I totally disagree with the speaker earlier this evening, that as a community we have had proper notification. I know for a fact that all of my clients that I work with that are immune compromised and have inabilities to detox these kind of chemicals in the living environment, as well as the fact that it will be absorbed into groundwater, because anything you spray will eventually get washed through El Nino, rain, etc. I'm just outraged. And I just wanted to have the exact same kind of warning that we're about to do something like this, as I was knowing that if I overuse my water or water too many of my plants, that there's going to be a penalty. I personally think that we ought to look into different options. We've got children that need to graduate high school with community service hours. I know personally that if I knew I was going to get a fine, just like with the water companies, for having an overabundance of moisture, liquid, or even a little bit of water left in my pots, and I was going to get a fine, I'd be spilling them. I think we owe it to our public to not spray. Give it more time. Let us look into some other alternatives. Furthermore, if there is no budget in Orange County for this within the municipalities, I personally know of plenty of investors that would invest some of their own funds in an effort to not spray poison around those that we love. And I will end in saying my heart goes out to anybody and everybody that's lost anybody from any mosquito-borne illness, be it dengue fever, West Nile and the like. But I encourage the board to stop the spraying and do not let us poison our children further, because we might be trading one thing for even something worse. Thank you.
Rebecca Nelson. John Deaver. I'm sorry, Jared Deaver.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the council. In respect of some of the comments that have been made by other residents, I'm going to turn my time over to Laura McGowan from Clark Mosquito Control Products. She will be able to more directly address some of the issues that have been brought up. So I'd like to invite Laura McGowan up to the podium.
Good evening. I'm Laura McGowan with Clark. We are the contractor in this application, and I personally have been on the ground during most of the major mosquito control operations in this country since West Nile first came across the border in 1999 in New York. I've been on the ground in Boston, Chicago, Dallas, Houston, Colorado, and other places where West Nile virus and other mosquito-borne diseases have been prevalent. I want to first of all assure folks that I have personally been underneath the spray during those application times and truly believe in the products that we are using, and that it was the only choice to prevent the mosquitoes that are currently on the wing and infected with West Nile virus. Yes, larviciding, surveillance, and source reduction are extremely important. However, once mosquitoes are on the wing and infected, adulticiding is the only option to reduce mosquito populations. They have demonstrated significant efficacy with the products that we've used, and they have a long history of testing and efficacy studies. They have a strong ability to interrupt the cycle of mosquito control and an ability to help suppress the outbreak, to give mosquito control other tools to continue the work it does. It is used throughout the country and has been regularly. Duet is particularly an excellent product for this kind of project because it has a component that excites mosquitoes, having more of them come into applications. There are no concerns from my standpoint in terms of non-target species, because we are applying when bees and other beneficial insects are not active outside the hive. For this product to be effective, it must interact with the actual spray. And mind you, the spray that we're using about a tablespoon of active ingredient to treat something the size of a football field. Literally 0.8 ounces per acre. The EPA, the CDC, and a dozen other governmental agencies have recommended the use of products like Duet to help suppress West Nile virus outbreaks. In fact, the joint statement by the EPA and the CDC states that when used according to label directions, these products pose no undue risks to humans or the environment. This is science-based prescription mosquito control. We are targeting a very specific area where there has been a significant outbreak or a significant presence of West Nile virus in mosquito pools. This is a very real threat to the population that you serve. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate any time that anyone has any additional questions. I will be available afterwards, or they can contact the Orange County Mosquito and Vector Control Department. Thank you.
Paul Nelson. And then Maureen Blockman.
Mr. Mayor, council members, and everybody else is here, thank you. Well, this argument seems to be like another fight that I'm in, and I hear a lot of the same arguments. I hear a lot about the science-based medicine and science-based facts, but when it comes down to it, most of the science is actually done by the company that makes these products, and there's very little people, other independent studies out there that they even recognize or acknowledge when they do their science. And I would like to, and I can't remember the lady's name, I know she's been in the spraying directly, I'd like to talk to her about 10 years and see how she's doing. Yeah. Because there's a lot of people out there who you may not see affected. Now, I'm talking about aerial spraying, by the way, I didn't say what I'm talking about. But there's a lot of people out there who get affected by this, who may not die when you put it on them. They may not get sick in 3 days, but they may have repercussions down the road. And this is something that nobody acknowledges. And there are cancers that can happen. The Spectre or vector control, I know they used to use benzene, and that was banned or shown to cause cancer, and they have since banned it. How many years have they used benzene to spray with? And now they have since banned it. How much research do we have on this product before you spray it over the population? And my heart goes out to, like everybody else, to the people who have West Nile, but you're really spraying the masses to protect a few. And there's got to be better ways to do this. And I know spot treating has worked. It's on their own website. It's very effective, but yet, for some reason, they're not doing it. Their notification process for this is pathetic, to say the least. Nobody knew this was happening until Thursday. Announced it before a big Labor Day weekend when nobody was around. And to their credit, they have been there to answer the phones, but that's not exactly proper notice to get this proper debate. It's also my understanding that this was not debated from the other side. All the evidence was one-sided. And I at least ask for a moratorium on this, if there's any power within the people here to do that for this. 1 week or not even that 6 days notice to spray over the population of your city is not enough time. And there are many, you have an organic garden down there off of Garden Grove Boulevard and 8th Street. Do they know about this? Because we met with them personally when we moved here and they said no pesticides allowed, period. Do they know about this? Do all the people who have organic gardens in this state know about this? How about kids who have asthma? Because I believe that was one of the side effects possibly. What about them? What about the poor people out there driving when the plane's spraying on them? Are they screwed? You know what I'm saying? I mean, what's that? Well, I guess they're just spraying water, I guess. What about the police officers out there? What about the homeless, who I think was one of the deaths last year? So there's a lot going on that needs to be considered. It's not just a simple, we have a need, people might get infected, and there might be deaths. Well, you know what? There's a lot of other people that might be affected down the road. And I'm not talking about 5 people. I'm not talking about 10. I'm talking about thousands down the road. Because you're spraying, and it's not just Garden Grove, it's other cities. I don't know what the population density is. It has to be a couple 100,000 people. And the vector controls also said it's safe to keep your windows open. But when I asked a direct question, and I know he's here to defend himself, but of the director, Michael Hurst, I believe, I said, what if I were to put this exact pesticide in a spray bottle while you're laying in your bed and spray it on you? What would you do? He said, I would probably ask you to stop. If it doesn't hurt you, why don't you want it on you? Now, and if I were to give it to you guys to drink, would you drink it? Do you think it's that safe to drink? Are you that secure in yourselves where I can spray it on you directly? Not wash it off right away, having it sit there and lay in the sun and hope it evaporates in 30 minutes. Do you have that much faith in the science done by the company that made it? Do you? Stuff to think about. Thanks.
Maureen Blackman and then Peter Katz, and then Jack Pollard.
Okay, I was out of town last week and I saw how unflattering this camera is, so I'm going to try to not be in the direct line of it. I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but I was out of town last week, and there's a couple things that I heard on the tape that really disturbed me. On June 18th, when you had a conversation with the Garden Grove police officer, and he informed you about students supergluing the lockers shut, causing $4,000 worth of damages, our mayor laughed. Last council meeting, in an attempt to explain the situation, you said it harkened you back to the days of being a high school student yourself, and you laughed again. You are a Garden Grove Unified School District trustee. You know the efforts it takes to keep our schools in shape, and this behavior should have gnawed at your core to see damages done to a school, no less your alma mater. What you should be saying is, how is the investigation going? When can we bring these people in to accept responsibility for their action? Vandalism is a crime. It's not a joke. It's punishable by it could be jail time if it was not their first offense. A fine of up to $10,000, and if they're a minor, the parents could be fined. It's not a joke and it's not a prank, and I think kids are more educated today to think that damaging their property is a joke. It's not. It really isn't, and I think that you should take the lead as an ex-trustee and see what you can do about finding the criminals. My next thought is lawns. Yeah, we're in a drought, but people are getting really lazy about their lawns. Trees are dying, lawns are up to here, they're brown. You go to Fountain Valley, you don't see it happening. Why is Garden Grove happening? Fountain Valley have one of the highest reduction rates in their water, but their lawns and trees are still green, and I think that Garden Grove's just getting a little bit sloppy about that. I applaud these people for coming out. I applaud Stephanie and Rebecca for hosting and bringing this attention to the public in such short notice. Thanks for your time.
Peter Katz.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council, and staff, and the public. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I want to thank city staff and thank the council and the mayor and the subcommittee. I'm going to talk on 10A, on the report of the subcommittee's recommendation on the Vietnam War Museum of America. I strongly, as the acting president of this organization, strongly believe in the merits of this museum. It will be a great cultural, education, and historical center someday, whether it's built in Garden Grove or somewhere else. I am determined to make this happen and raise the money to get it done. I understand the financial situation that the city is in. I want to point out just 4 items here that I failed to point out last time. But I want to thank personally Kim Hoy, Janet Paleo, Elaine Mai, the city attorney, and all the people that worked on helping us over the 5 years of putting this project together. It's not an easy project, but it will be done, and I'm taking steps forward to make the necessary transition happen. But I'm asking the subcommittee to reconsider, or this council to reconsider that action. I want to point out a couple things. We heard economic numbers mentioned earlier this evening, but without the Great Wolf coming online, 3 out of the 4 top employers in the city of Garden Grove are in a tourist hub. Out of the 54,000 hotel rooms in Orange County, 60% of them, or 34,000, are in 3 cities: Anaheim, Garden Grove, and Santa Ana. There is money to be made up there, no matter what you put on Harbor Boulevard, and that is where your bread and butter is earned. So you talk about agency for redevelopment money, there is money out there, and TOD tax money, you need people to have attractions for them to stay in hotels. So this is an area that I'm strongly concerned that a museum would really be very advantageous and be a very large success. The subcommittee, I presented them with the study that was done by the company that built Disneyland. It recommended not only would it be feasible, but that it would be a success. They studied every museum of its kind across the country, including the one that Chris Beard mentioned about in New Jersey, which is the size of one large Garden Grove house. So I'm talking about an educational center of national prominence, international prominence, that this city and this county can take a lot of pride in, and it will be built. I have determined that as long as I stay healthy to build this project. And once again, I want to thank the staff, and I'll be available to answer any questions that come out of the subcommittee recommendation to the full council if they need to study this further. But I am a person of action, and I am moving this project forward from this day on. Thank you.
Thank you. Jack Pollich. Following Mr. Pollich is Charles Mitchell.
Good evening, everybody, Mayor and Council. I'd like to introduce my neighbor, Pat McMasters, who's with me tonight, too. I don't want to beat a dead horse. But
Sir, please address the council.
Some of the folks that were already spoke about the spraying that they're going to be doing the next couple of nights did an excellent job of doing that. My target on this was a little bit different. My target was to the vector control that I know was going to be here this evening, and I had several questions for them. I was here in 1989 when they sprayed for the medflies. People got sick. And if you read about the poison that's going to be used on this next couple of nights, like the gentleman said, what makes us think that's not going to happen a second time? There was a comment made this evening about that it's been worked on for a year. That's interesting. If it takes a year to work on something with no communication to the public, it's a pretty sad case. If I did that where I work, I would have been fired. How many West Nile people were diagnosed this year? There aren't real, the numbers are very low, especially in the Garden Grove area, but we're going to be still sprayed the next couple of nights. Not at my house, I hope. I'm looking at you as a council and mayor to help stop this and not let it go through, at least for the city of Garden Grove. There's other cities that have to fight for themselves, but we're here to have to do it for ourselves and not let this happen. The other thing I'm concerned about is there are people that work outside at night. I'm an IT manager. I leave the house at all hours of the night. So I'm outdoors between that 10 and 4 a.m. mark quite often. And if my boss says I got to be in the work, I have to be in the work, and I will be out there in the middle of it, and I have no choice. I don't want to be sprayed. What happens to the people that have health issues? Pat and I both have health issues, ongoing health issues, that I can't stop, and will this affect that? You know, we talked a little bit about tonight about the other insects that would be the imbalance that was caused the first time in 1989 with the malathion spraying, the imbalance it caused in the insect population in Orange County. And do the same thing now. We're not going to have the butterflies we had this year. We're not going to have the bees. My neighbor depends on those bees to pollinate his orange tree. It's not going to happen. You know, they talk about it being aerial spraying. I encourage, and I think with the vector control here tonight, I don't remember her name. What was her name that stood up here, the first person?
Robin.
Robin. Robin and I communicated via Facebook. My name is Jack Robin. And not one time in any of the communication between Laura and I yesterday that we're communicating with her would she answer the question why there was no communication to the public. She only gave reasons as to why they had to spray. So thanks, everybody. I appreciate your time tonight, and let's just hope that this doesn't go through.
Thank you, Charles Mitchell. And following Charles Mitchell will be Jesse Castellan.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council and staff. The discussion at the last council meeting regarding red light cameras reminded me of a situation that I was involved with regarding a traffic light. Now, if you are going south on Euclid and you wish to get onto the Garden Grove Freeway, you will make a left turn on Trask going east. When you come to the intersection where the on-ramp is, there are traffic lights. Now, the light on the corner right at the right-hand turn lane cannot be seen by somebody sitting in a car waiting to make the turn. So they have to rely on the light across the lanes of traffic for that left turn green light. Unfortunately, recently, that left turn green light was not functioning. Now, I called the number I have for traffic control for the city, and I spoke to a woman there who said she would check into it and get back to me. And she did. She called me back a short time later and told me that that light was the responsibility of Caltrans. It was not the responsibility of the city of Garden Grove. However, she said she would contact Caltrans and let them know about it. The next evening, on my way home, I went east on Trask to that intersection, and that green light had been repaired, that left turn green light. So I just want to say that we have a wonderful city staff. They do a great job. And in order for them to do their job, they have to be aware of problems, whether that's fire department, police department, any public safety, or any of the other services that are provided by our city. So if you have a problem or you're aware of one, call and let them know so that they can take some action. At the end of the year, in your water bill, you usually received a card. On one side of that card is a calendar. On the other side of the card is a list of all the city services. So when you get that card in the mail, don't throw it away. Put it next to your phone. And when you have something that needs attention, look at that list, call the appropriate number, and you'll get some action. As I say, we have a wonderful staff in our city, and they do a great job. But it's up to you to let them know what's going on so they can earn that salary. Thank you.
Jessica Costello. And then Nicole Rafferty.
Hello, my name is Jesse Castellon. I am a former resident of Garden Grove, current resident of Santa Ana, and also a former employee of Orange County Vector Control District. Excuse me if I'm a little shaky. I'm not used to being in front of a lot of people. I want to basically voice my opinion on the aerial spray. I am against it. Like I said, I live in Santa Ana. In their treatment application, they're going to be using with Duet. Just as they're saying now, it is not of any harm. Being an employee of Orange County Vector Control District, I was told that another chemical they used was Golden Bear 101, which contained benzene, was also not harmful. Well, 6 years later, I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma that almost took my life. I have a doctor's statement here. Currently, I have a case open against Orange County Vector Control District, which I cannot discuss. It says, based on the totality of record scientific literature, MSDS is having ruled out other causes, i.e. other sources of substantial benzene exposure, radiation exposure, chronic infections, EB virus, HIV infections, family history of lymphomas, and compatible diseases known to be associated with lymphomas. It is my opinion, with reasonable medical probability, that Mr. Castellon's exposure to benzene during the employment of Orange County Vector Control was a substantial factor in causation of his Hodgkin's lymphoma. I worked for Orange County Vector Control in 2003 to 2005 as a seasonal sprayer, worked my way up to being a shop technician there, mixing chemicals, and I don't believe that the Duet is a good thing for Orange County. For the sake of my children, for the sake of my life, I ask that you guys consider other options and not allow me to endure in this pain again. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicole Rafferty. Dottie Hagmeyer. And then Dr. Dave.
Thank you. My name is Nicole Rafferty, and I've never spoken to a council meeting before, so thank you. I'm here as a resident of Orange County as well as Mission Viejo. Very concerned about the aerial spraying that is going to be taking place this week in different areas of Orange County, the different cities. I have contacted all day today. When I learned about this last night, I was very concerned because I am a genetically vulnerable individual with MTHFR who has a difficulty methylating toxins, and I have been trying to repair my health for quite a few years from other toxic exposures, and I'm extremely chemically sensitive. I network with mothers all across Orange County who are trying to recover their health and the health of their children from toxicity exposure. And I was frightened for a lot of the mothers here in Orange County who are going to be sprayed. And I have looked at the Duet. If you look at the insert, if you type in the insert for the Duet chemical and you read it, you realize that there are no safety studies on the impact on the endocrine system, the fertility, our breast milk, our fetuses, and I am extremely fearful for these women. And I want to tell you right now, we are facing epidemic toxicity that we have never seen, and mothers have never seen and had to be faced with in prior centuries. And here I am, I called Vector Control today. I started asking them questions. Number one, who authorized the spraying, the aerial spraying of thousands of Orange County residents without their consent? Who are the public officials that authorized this and allowed this to happen? Number one. Because I was told that Vector Control is an independent organization, and that, so the city councils members, there's one from each of the different city councils and the board of trustees of the Vector Control, and I'm calling every single one of them, and I am asking every mother that I meet who is genetically vulnerable, who is struggling with immune dysfunction, to contact their local city representative and hold them accountable for basically putting their lives in danger with no safety studies showing that Duet is not going to impact their breast milk, that's not going to affect their fetuses, that it's not going to affect their their ability to fight any other type of illness or disease. So I also was very concerned, and I said to them, you know, they're going to be spraying, they say that I called OC Animal Care. OC Animal Care did not have any information to talk about whether their pets, how pets would be impacted by the Duet chemical. I also contacted the Agricultural Commission to find out what they're doing as a public health organization to protect our organic gardens in our backyards, because as a mother who is impacted by toxicity, I go out of my way as a mother to make sure that my food does not have toxicity, that I can't afford the organic food being grown in the stores, that I'm growing organic food in my backyard to remove chemicals from my food that I'm feeding my family. And now you have these people in Vector Control who are just going to spray our gardens. How do we protect our gardens? I've spent thousands of dollars on my organic garden, okay? And I don't know how to protect them. And all these other mothers who are spending thousands of dollars on their organic food, their clean food, okay? And who's protecting us? Who is advocating for the public? Who is advocating for our clean gardens, our clean food? Who is advocating for our clean water and our clean air from toxicity? Who is the health department, the doctor who sat at the board meetings for the Vector Control, Dr. Zand, Robert, I think it's Michael Zand, okay, that was quoted by the Orange County Register, who said that you can just stand out there and just get sprayed with this chemical. I would like for him to show us at town hall meetings these studies that show that immune compromise, that fertility is not compromised, that our fetuses are not compromised, our breast milk is not compromised, and that cancer is not going to be caused by this. And I'm warning every single mother to hold every single city council person that is representing their city to be held accountable. And I want to know what the liability is for the people that allow this to happen. Thank you.
Dottie Hagmeyer and then Rebecca Nelson.
Good evening, council members, mayor. My name is Dottie Hagmeyer, and I'm a resident here in Orange County since 2002, and I'm the president and founder of an Orange County-based organization called Moms in Charge. I represent about 4,000 moms and families who are being empowered with ways to raise healthier, vibrant kids by decreasing the amount of toxins that we layer upon our children that is causing so many issues. Right now, 1 out of 2 children in our country has some type of chronic illness. As some of the people have stated here earlier, we are seeing epidemic proportions that we've never seen before of illnesses with our children. And nobody can seem to put their finger on it, but environmental seems to come up a lot. I learned about this spraying from the Orange County Register last week, as most of us did here in this room. And I was shocked to find out that this was going to be happening without some type of town hall discussion, more informed information, informed consent, with exactly what is being sprayed on our heads. What exactly is in the spray? What are the safety studies, as Nicole was saying? Is this safe? Is this safe for our pets? Is it safe for our children? Is it safe for our bees, for our butterflies, for our environment? This is an unnatural substance that's being dumped into our air. One more thing, one more layer upon layer onto our children and onto our livelihood for the future. What I see here and what my concern is that we are looking at a temporary situation and not looking long-term at what may occur. Ironically, before I even found out about this, I went to the library with my son, and I wanted to get a biography for him. And so just by happenstance or serendipitously, I picked up a book and went home and started reading it with my children. I have 3 small children. They're 6, 8, and 10. And it was the story by a woman, a biography about a woman by the name of Rachel Carson. She wrote a book called Silent Spring. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of her or read this book, but it's pretty incredible. She wrote this book on her dying deathbed when she was dying of breast cancer. She was a very famous biologist, and she exposed the dangers of DDT. And she actually brought this out, something that was deemed safe by the EPA and the chemical companies that produced it, that said this was perfectly fine that we put this out in our environment. She was showing how it was actually killing the birds, causing problems with our children. I think that we can all agree that DDT is probably not the best thing ever. Although if you look, you can Google it on your phone, former ads for DDT. DDT is good for me. I think that we all need to take a step back and try to learn from history here and not repeat it. For a temporary solution, that we can look at other alternatives to possibly figure out how we can deal with this issue instead of layering one more thing on our whole environment, on our future, our children. We need to be part of the solution and not the problem. I urge you, gentlemen, ladies, to please consider all of the things that have been brought up here and the concerns, and to halt the spraying, and let's find a better solution. Thank you very much.
Rebecca Nelson.
Thank you for letting me speak. First of all, I'm a Garden Grove resident. I'm a business owner in Huntington Beach. And most importantly, I am a mom. And I will do whatever it takes to protect my children. And this deeply concerns me, the spraying of Garden Grove and all these neighboring cities, 8 cities to be correct. We moved here 1 year ago from Huntington Beach. All of our Huntington Beach friends said, "Why are you moving to Garden Grove? Why would you leave Huntington Beach and go into Garden Grove?" I love Garden Grove. I love the orange trees. I love the big yards. I love where we live. Our neighborhood it feels like we're away from, all the hustle and bustle. I love where we live. We have an organic garden. We have 2 orange trees. Another one just sprouted up, probably because of all the organic stuff, soil we've been putting in, just sprouted up. So we have 3 orange trees now. My children play in the mud all the time. They make me mud pies. They bring them to me. They are in the mud all the time. That is their playground. They are 3 and 5 years old. Today I was supposed to start schooling with them. I homeschool. This will be my first year of homeschooling. And I was so excited. And what do you think I've been doing all weekend? I didn't get to enjoy my Labor Day weekend at all. And I certainly didn't start school today. It has been, we just found out about this spraying on Friday, and it terrifies me that our little sanctuary that we moved to get away from everything is now going to be poisoned. If the spraying does happen, we will do our best to protect everything. We will have to cover every inch of our 10,000 square foot lot. That's ridiculous. I will leave. We're going to leave. We will get a hotel room, and we will stay away for as long as we need to. And there have been conflicting reports about how long this pesticide takes to dissipate. You ask vector control, and they will say it takes 30 minutes. I heard from one person, 5 minutes a day in bright sunlight. What happens to all the shady areas? Well, the research that I found through the product, that it takes 12 days. It could take 12 days for the half-life. That means it's in our soil for a long time. What happens to the rest of it? We do not know the ramifications. This is a scary thing. We've been wrong in the past. This is deemed safe. We've been wrong before. The EPA has been wrong before. They said before mold doesn't cause sickness. Now they say it does. They've been wrong before with Jesse, the guy who came up here who worked for vector control. Well, guess what? They told him that the chemical that he was working with, totally safe. He gets cancer. And now a doctor says, a medical doctor, science-based medicine, says that it is directly related to that chemical that he was using. And they are in court right now. He has a valid case. What's going to happen to all of our children? Are you guys tracking the people that say that this is safe? Are they going to track what happens to humans, not just to mosquitoes? Because they're all going to track, okay, let's see if this kills the mosquito population. Are they tracking what happens to each of our children? To all these miscarriages that are happening? To all the sickness in our children? Our children are the sickest generation. Do you guys know that? This is a sicker generation. Our kids are not healthier than we were. Why do you think that is? Years ago, when my daughter was first born, 5 years ago, I went into the pediatrician's office and I asked him, one of our first visits, I said, why do you think children are so sick today? This is a medical doctor, pediatrician. He's been doing this for 40 years. You know what he said to me? Pesticides. He said he believes it's pesticides that are causing our children to be so sick. That is a medical doctor. I could get a statement from him and send it to you all tomorrow if you'd like. So my point is there may not be evidence that it's causing cancer, birth defects, but who's conducting the studies? Is it the maker of Duet? I mean, how ridiculous is that? Come on, you can't trust the maker. They're going to say their product's amazing until we find out later it's not amazing and it's actually quite dangerous. Please don't let that happen to Garden Grove or all the neighboring cities. Thank you very much.
Dr. Dave Fleidner, or Fleidner?
Fleidner. Thank you for letting me speak. I think I'm also speaking on the spraying for the West Nile virus. I believe as I was thinking and listening to everyone, I think I'm in a somewhat unique position to actually talk on the topic, although I didn't really appreciate it ahead of time. I just found out about the spraying over the weekend through word of mouth. I was not aware, so I guess that is indicative of the lack of general knowledge about what's going on. I'm from Orange County originally. I remember in 1989 being in the backyard at a high school party when the helicopters flew over the head and the malathion fell down in my non-alcoholic beer glass, and thinking to myself, oh, that can't be good, even as a kid. I trained in New York. I was in New York City when West Nile actually hit. So it was a little bit like living through a movie where we didn't know, and I was doing spinal taps on kids in the hospital when we were sending it for St. Louis encephalitis virus and all these different things. We had no idea. So I know West Nile very well. I've worked in the emergency room in Dallas, Texas, and in a pediatric hospital, and have done many, many spinal taps and have seen many kids with West Nile virus. So I'm all too familiar with the suffering that goes with it. I've since moved back home after my travels, and I now have had to open up a holistic or an integrative medical practice to try to figure out what is going on with all of these children that these women are referring to. Our conventional medical science just doesn't have answers, and the best most of us can do is scratch our head and sort of say, it's a combination of genetics and environment. You've heard women refer to the genetic piece of it, the MTHFR and other detoxification inability to happen. There's so many triggers, of which pesticides are obviously a large one that is of concern. They are extremely difficult to figure out. They're extremely difficult to fix. Oftentimes you do the best you can do and you can get them better, but oftentimes you can't. These children, the families end up spending, tens of thousands of dollars on tests, supplements, all kinds of things, going to multiple practitioners, oftentimes with no real results. So I think, everyone has talked about the DDT, the benzene. We have Vietnam vets here. I mean, we're all familiar with Agent Orange. I think the real summary of that is the precautionary principle. I think that, previously it's always been innocent until proven guilty, but I think that we need to give pause to that and really think about that and maybe do a little bit more thinking to make sure that we're making the right decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael Gischler. And then Mary F. O'Keefe.
Good evening, council members. My name is Michael Dischler. I've lived in Garden Grove for 41 years. I wasn't going to speak, but after hearing all these people villainizing the vector control, I think it's important that we understand that the health department plays a huge role in this. I believe they order Vector to take action. I don't think it's Vector saying we're going to spray because we want to spray. And when we talk about, gee, we sprayed back in 1989, it worked. It worked. A lot of people are making claims, and I'm not against what they're saying. I understand their concern, but we need Vector. We need pesticide, and if you have a garden, wash your vegetables. I mean, we're taught this. Another thing that we have to remember that what the government goes by when they talk about pesticide is we're going to spray. The benefits outweigh the negatives. We don't want to get West Nile virus. Look to the state of Arizona. Go to the computer. They've been dealing with the West Nile virus for a long time. We're just now starting to face it. We have to keep in mind that there's many people in the city of Garden Grove, and I'm not speaking about people who don't live in my city because this is a Garden Grove City Council meeting. I want people to understand that pesticide is important. A lot of people have pesticide service monthly. They come out and they spray gallons of pesticide on your property that is 10 times more dangerous than what they're going to spray now. We need to spray, and we need to do it right away. You can't spot treat for mosquitoes. You bait them, and that's not even going to work because people don't go in their backyard looking for water. You don't have a cap of water that develops thousands of mosquitoes. It evaporates before anything can live in it. It takes a real nice amount of water to breed mosquitoes. It can be on top of a business building, a puddle on top of an industrial building. Nobody goes up there. The mosquitoes are festering. I've seen it a million times. I am a pest control operator. I hold a current license. I've been dealing with it 25 years of spraying pesticide. I've never been sick. I don't have cancer. I'm not saying that other people aren't getting cancer. People are getting cancer from the food we buy. So I think it's really not a good idea. It's not a good idea to jump on Vector. You don't have a license. You don't know anything about pesticide except for what you read. You didn't take any classes. You didn't take courses. The state requires it. If you have a license, come up here and talk about pesticide and what it does. I'm not trying to be negative towards your opinion. This is my opinion. We need the pesticide. We need to start spraying right away.
Mary F. O'Keefe.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you allowing us to speak at this meeting tonight. A lot of the previous speakers spoke about the same things that I would also like to reiterate. But the number one thing that I'd like to talk about is our ecosystem. If we destroy our ecosystem, then the health of the human beings are worthless anyway. We have to keep our food safe. We have to keep our water safe. And this chemical is going to seep into our soil. It is going to cover our water. And it is going to remain there for what I have understood the science to say. It takes upwards of 100 years for these pesticides to soak deep enough into the earth that they will no longer affect what grows in that soil. And I even believe that they have said it would take removal of the topsoil to even get to a safe soil, to grow our food in. I urge you all, look into the faces of your children and your grandchildren and dream of their children to come. We have got to have a safe earth for our future generations, and we are destroying it. This has got to stop. I don't know what your faith is. For any of you that go to church and believe in God, you must understand that God created those mosquitoes. There is a plan for all of it. And our chemical companies, the scientists who do not believe in God, who do not understand the miracle of this earth, are the ones that are becoming rich by destroying this. All due respect to the gentleman that makes his living spraying pesticides, sir, I'm very sorry. Your future, I think it probably will include dementia and Alzheimer's, if not cancer. And also to the same woman who was the representative from Clark. With all due respect to you, my darling, your health has been put into severe danger, not to mention all of the rest of us. Let's stop allowing the big chemical companies to become rich while we all die. Our country sprays the most herbicides and pesticides on our food crops. And isn't it interesting that we also have the unhealthiest population of any developed nation? Please, I am begging you, Garden Grove may be a small community, but it has to start somewhere. The end of all of this nonsense must start somewhere. Can all of you who have chosen a career of public service, please search your conscience and your soul and decide whether or not this is really the best way for you to serve your population. I live in the city of Cypress. I don't live in Garden Grove. But I know that the atmosphere is one, and I know that the wind blows, and I know that the water is for everyone, not just for Garden Grove. It's all connected. We will lose bees. Is the tragedy of the loss of our bees not enough to say that we are not going to spray these pesticides? Without the bees, there's no pollination. Without pollination, there's no food. Do we not understand this yet, ladies and gentlemen? This has to stop. We are destroying our earth. Please, there has got to be a natural way, something that is not toxic or poison to every living thing on this earth, to try to help the control of this West Nile virus, or whatever we think is such a horrible tragedy. We can go to doctors and we can take care of ourselves and we can rest and heal from an illness. But we cannot save the earth if we continue to do this. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody who came and spoke tonight. Your public comments are always welcome. This time, I'm going to turn to my colleagues to see if there are any reactions before I give mine to the public comments.
Mayor and member of the council, I have heard a long testimony from the resident, and I think the concerns are very genuine. I would like to echo some of the concern myself regarding the indiscriminating spray, that it will affect the fruit in our gardens, many of which we can simply wash away, but others we cannot, such as pomegranate. They are, when they ripped, they will be cracked open, and the spray can get inside the fruit, and it's not easy to wash all of them. There are many other type of fruit that there are opening at the end or at the beginning that the insecticide can get in and become absorbent. Many other concerns that I think due to the lack of competing research. I believe, I do not know whether this chemical will for sure causing many of the residents have cancer or not, but I do believe that we need competing research to make sure that it will not be. Secondly, I believe that our residents, the almost 200,000 of them, are not effectively notified. Yes, there are a lot who become aware, but there are, I believe, a much larger group of residents who are not aware of this spraying. And I'm also concerned about the effect to many of the pets, some of which you can keep inside, other we can cover, but some we simply cannot, or the people may not even be aware to cover them. And there are a lot of Asian residents in our city, and they have huge koi pond, and the koi fish are very expensive. So I'm concerned that I do not know whether it will kill them or not killing them, but I'm concerned that if a lot of them die, who will be liable? And lastly, I believe that a program like this needs to get the community involved. Of course, it's not easy to conduct that, and it might be expensive, but something that may have this level of effect on their health, whether or not it will, but that's not the point. The point here is they are concerned about their health, and they got to have the right to voice their opinion, and I believe that we have not done that. So tonight, I understand that this is not in the agenda, but I believe that the council need to discuss, deliberate, and take action. Because if we do not do that, this Wednesday and Thursday, they will be brave. Tomorrow night, yes. Wednesday is tomorrow. So I think this is an urgent issue that we need to, even though it's not in the agenda, I would like to, I don't know what is the procedural.
Well, we can agendize it with a vote of 4-5 at the very least. So I'd be happy to move to have this item on the agenda. I would need a second.
I would second it.
No, for this very meeting. Is that correct, City Attorney?
Yes, if an item arose after the posting of this agenda, you can forfeit a discussion item for tonight by 4/5 vote. So you do have a motion and a second, and I will need the City Council to vote on whether to add it to this particular agenda.
Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Beard?
Yes.
Councilmember Bowie?
Yes.
Councilmember Fawn?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Jones? Yes. Mayor Wynn?
Yes. So I want to, I want to echo everything that Councilmember Bowie said. Definitely agree with you. What we can do is we can send a letter indicating our protest to the spraying. But in terms of our jurisdiction, we don't have jurisdiction over the spraying. But I think this is something that we should do. Personally, as mayor, I find that there are a lot of young kids out there that are growing up with a lot of allergies, and I think about them. Family members and friends have kids, and they tell me all the lengths that they go through to protect their kids, and I'm very concerned. And it's true. Our oversight agencies at the federal level have not given us confidence in terms of the chemicals that have been used on the public and the people. So I'm very skeptical. And of course, certainly, I think the most disturbing thing for me is how we heard about this. I'm quite disappointed because I believe that, our representative, Ms. Mercurio, came and spoke at our last city council meeting on August 25th, and from what she had said earlier, this was on the agenda on August 20th, so 5 days prior, and we were not notified. So I'm quite disappointed, and I would like to have some more oversight in terms of what our representative reports to us and have the agenda so that we as a council can give input and help our representative be a better representative of our city. So with that, if there are any other discussion from my colleagues, please chime in. Mr. Beard?
Well, my comment would be communication is the key. As it was mentioned here, we do not have the authority. We do not halt or we do not initiate spraying of any sort. We're not that entity. We do have representation on vector control. My suggestion would be that we ask the vector control to halt all spraying and have a public hearing. I think they should hear you. What you said tonight should be heard by them. I mean, we're not the deciding body here, but this deciding body should hear what both sides of the argument. You have a convincing case. As we were told, I'm not an expert. I don't have all the facts. So in lieu of having a protest to them, I say to halt spraying and hold another public hearing, allowing more public input on this. That would be my motion on this.
Based on what I've heard, this is not a time-sensitive issue. It's been in the planning for the last year, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
And so I don't think there's a really need to rush to do this. So if there's a way, Mr. City Manager, to voice our concern and ask for more time, because I think, like what Councilman Beard said, the people who's making these calls need to hear what our residents are saying. So I think due process and a public hearing and further studies are needed. And so I hope that we can turn this around within the next 12 hours to at least halt the spraying till a later time so more input can be given.
Okay, there has been a second by Councilmember Beard, and that is to immediately request an immediate halt of the spraying and to hear from the public. I'm more than happy to second that motion.
I second it.
Madam Clerk, please call for a vote. And we need this out right away, Mr. City Manager, if our council decides to agree with that motion.
Okay. Councilmember Beard?
Yes.
Councilmember Bowie?
Yes.
Councilmember Fawn?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Jones?
Yes.
Mayor Nguyen?
Yes.
Mr. Manager, may I suggest that you make a phone call to them first thing in the morning and then follow up with a letter?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor and members of council, just to make sure, so we will, as Councilman Bowie suggested, we will, first thing in the morning, we'll have a letter prepared to go to the Orange County Vector Control, and just so we're on the same page, we will be letting them know that the City Council has directed me to forward this letter to them, advising them of your concern to halt the spraying and to possibly hold at least another public hearing, as I understood you correctly, to get citizen input, community input on the program itself. Do I have that generally correct?
That's correct, Mr. Stiles.
Okay. We will do that.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. So, we have a long agenda. At this time, I'm more than happy to do a quick recess for those that came for this particular item to, move on with your evening if you don't plan on staying for the rest of it. So we'll do 2 minutes. Calling this meeting back to order. If you have conversations, please step outside. And we're going to conduct the successor agency business right now.
Mr. Mayor, may I request that we bring back the items regarding the vector control insecticide spraying? That I have just learned of another important issue that I think the council, I would like to bring it to the council for discussion, if I may.
I'm sorry, what's the particular issue?
Because tomorrow morning, if we let the letter out by, let's say, 8 o'clock in the morning, the vector control board would have to, to call the meeting and discuss it and take action of their own. There might not be enough time because by the time that they decide, if they decide to halt, it, the helicopter or the spraying airplane might be already on the air and it might be too late. So I was out of that concern because of such a short time here. I was thinking, should we also, in parallel, go to the judge and ask for an order to halt it? And I don't know if that is possible, but it is a concern that I have. I would like to ask the city attorney to give us an input whether that is appropriate and it can be done or not, and if it is, whether we want to do it.
Thank you. Mr. Sandoval?
Yeah, requests for injunctions, even temporary restraining orders, are seldom given. You actually have to show irreparable harm and that there is no other alternative. In order to do that, I don't know that we have sufficient time to go ex parte to try and get such an order because we don't have a lot of information to be able to present to a court. I think that the fastest and quickest and most effective would be to send a letter, put a phone call in the morning to the executive director, contact the representatives of Vector Control. The spraying is not set to start until 10 p.m., so they should have sufficient time, at least to, the executive director may be able to, put an order to hold off until the board is able to meet. Second item is that as a governmental agency, under the law, their decision is considered valid unless it was arbitrary and capricious. And for that reason, I think it would be very difficult to get a court order to stop the action of a governmental agency.
Thank you, Mr. Sandoval. So I imagine the letter will also be emailed in the morning. We can also probably send somebody to even hand deliver it, but I think the phone call, and I'm sure the news will report about this, that they're going to know about this.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, well, we'll do a couple things first thing in the morning. We will hand courier it to their offices or just right on Garden Grove Boulevard. So we will hand courier it to their offices. I've spoke with Michael Hurst, who's the district manager, who is here. Our letter, I think, per his suggestion, I will defer to the law director, but he thought should go to Joe Carcio, who is the president of the Board of Trustees for the Orange County Vector Control. So unless somebody advises me differently, I think that's who our letter will be addressed and delivered to. And we will also put in a phone call at your request as well.
Great. Thank you. Good. Okay. So let's move on and conduct our successor agency business. I'll hand this meeting over to Chair Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll call the September 8th meeting of the successor agency to order. Madam Clerk, would you like to call roll?
Member Bowie?
Here.
Member Nguyen?
Yes.
Member Fawn?
Here.
Vice Chair Beard?
Here.
Chair Jones?
Here. We already did public comments in conjunction with City Council, so we'll move on to consent items, basically just approval of the minutes and approval of the warrants. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Call to vote.
Oh.
Okay, Member Bowie?
Yes.
Member Nguyen?
Yes.
Member Fawn?
Yes.
Vice Chair Beard?
Here.
Chair
Yes.
Jones?
Yes. We do not have any other items, or are there any matters from Successor agency members? Nope. Seeing none, we'll turn back to City Council.
Thank you. We're reconvening the City Council meeting. We have consent items here, 9A through E. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second it.
Call for a vote. Madam Clerk.
Sorry, I turned my page. Councilmember Beard?
Yes.
Councilmember
Yes.
Bowie? Councilmember Fawn?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Jones?
Yes.
Mayor Wynn?
Aye. All right, we're at item 10 here. 10A.
This 10A is a report from Councilmembers Beard and Fond as members of the Vietnam War Museum Subcommittee, and Kim Hoy is also here.
Hi, Ms. Hoy.
Hello, Mayor. Well, good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. At your June 23rd meeting, you had established a subcommittee to meet with the Executive Board of the Vietnam War Museum of America Foundation to examine the status of the foundation, specifically asking that the subcommittee make a recommendation regarding the city's continued financial and staff support of the War Museum. And during the months of July and August, the subcommittee and the foundation met 3 times. During those meetings, the foundation was able to give a chronological history of the foundation and its actions, a status update as to where they are at present, and a strategic business plan regarding the foundation's next 5 years. To summarize, the business plan of the foundation called for the significant expansion of the board, the enforcement of a board member contract, which would ensure annual financial commitments from their board members, expansion of the ethnic makeup of the board to gain support by the Vietnamese community, and the commencement of a silent phase of the foundation's capital campaign. While the subcommittee believed that the goal of the foundation had merit, they felt that the city was not in a financial position to be able to continue the support of the foundation. The subcommittee is recommending the following. First, the city no longer financially support the foundation, and that the city rescind its commitment of $25,000 toward the museum from its fiscal year 15-16 budget. Second, that the city no longer provides staff support to the foundation, and that staff turn over all documentation, the associated materials, and financial documentations to the foundation. Third, that the City Council direct the city manager to begin exploring the sale of the property located at 13650 Harbor Boulevard to eliminate the $1.6 million balloon payment that is due December of 2016. And finally, that the city consider future financial assistance of the foundation pending a successful completion of year 1 of their strategic business plan. That concludes the subcommittee's report, and staff's available to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hoy. And I also want to express my gratitude to Council Members Beard and Fan for serving on this subcommittee. I support the recommendations that are here in front of us, and I'd like to move to approve.
Does any of the other members have any questions for us in particular about how we came to that decision?
Yeah. I'd like to second that with some comments.
Sure.
Okay, so there's been a second.
Yeah. I want to say I want to commend the work to date of the commission of the museum of the board members. It's a difficult decision at this time. Well, we're in difficult economic times for the city, and that was the basis right now as it stands for my decision of moving forward with it. We have a situation with the property where the museum is planned. We have a situation where we have to dispose of the property, or we're obligated with $1.6 million by December of 2016. That has a large bearing on it. So with that, and just the general economic condition of the city, staff support and time made it very difficult to continue on at this point. What the committee, what the subcommittee came up with, or what came across, was a strategic business plan. I think if it follows through, the plan was developed by the nonprofit, it can continue forward. We've heard Mr. Katz here today, and he's more than dedicated and passionate about this. I do believe it would be a good thing for the city to have a Vietnam War Memorial Museum for the cultural education and historical reasons he laid out, and it can still happen. It's just not going to happen on a grand scale immediately. It's going to be a work in progress for a very long time. At this stage for the city, I see economically we cannot support it. But if they follow through on their business plan, I think it has that capability. The seeds have been sown. We have some support, but it didn't gain enough traction over the last few years. It needs to get there. With board members, with more involvement, more community support, it can get there. But overall, from my perspective, from a city perspective, from an economic, financial perspective, now is not the time for the city to move forward. We have to take action on that property there, and so that was my key concern of this. So I wish them continued success. I hope we can meet with them in a year, that they've gotten some traction, made some progress to working on another partnership arrangement with them to support them any way we can as a city.
Thank you, Mr. Beard.
I to echo the same view as Councilman Beard. I believe this is a very novelty project. I believe in the value that if we can make it happen, close to 60,000 U.S. veterans had sacrificed their own life in the Vietnam War, and 100,000 wounded. And for the Vietnamese, there are 100,000 who had died in that war. So I too would like to see this museum be successful. But given the economy situation that the city are facing, I think we just have to abandon it for now. Perhaps if the foundation will refocus and come up with another strategy, perhaps in the future we can explore this again. But for now, I think with the finance difficulty that we are facing, we have no other choice but to abandon this project for now.
I echo what both Councilman Bui and Beard said. It was a very hard decision for me personally, from my background as a Vietnamese, and the sacrifice that we all make as a military officer and just veterans in general. But I think it's a fiscal call that we have to make for our city, and I would more than happy to join the board on a personal level. But I think for a city commitment, we've sunk or committed $100,000 in the last 4 years already, and to keep putting more money into this effort, I think right now would be ill-advised for the city based on our financial situation. And that's why I voted the way I did, or supported the way I did with Councilman Beard.
I'll just add that I think conceptually there's something profound here that as we're now kind of entering the third generation of Vietnamese Americans coming into Little Saigon, that it's important that we have something like this going forward to help keep the youth in tune with where they came from and whatnot. And that's a local concern. The novelty of having an actual Vietnam War museum here in Garden Grove would be a great thing as well. But it doesn't seem like it's really gained any momentum or traction in the last few years in terms of heading towards anything. And the city's got a big financial commitment to this thing coming up next year. So I would concur with my fellow council members.
Great, thank you, everybody. Well, personally, I think it's a great idea. I just think that at this time, our top priority is our fiduciary duties, to look at our finances, and this is a lot of money. So at this time, I support my colleagues, and there's an opener in here too. A little bright spot. If we can go back in a year and take a look at it again after we review our budget, that's something that we'll definitely do. This community has been through a lot. Our community is made of veterans that have fought for our country. And also, this has been a community that's been home to veterans from another country. And we're together now. I think that's something really unique in our community. I'm not so sure that a museum will necessarily encompass, the different perspectives. I think what's most important is not to enshrine something in a museum necessarily, but to share those stories with your kids and with your grandkids so that they can in turn share it with their kids and their grandkids. I know there's a language barrier in a lot of families too, or a communication barrier, so to speak, between the generations. And I know it's challenging to build those relations. And I think those are the important relations within our families, that we can have those conversations and share what has gone by in the history that has been lived, so the next generation can understand. So, can we call for a vote on this?
Yes, of course. Councilmember Beard?
Yes.
Councilmember Bowie?
Yes.
Councilmember Fawn?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Jones?
Yes.
Mayor Nguyen?
Yes. Then we have item 10B.
Yes. 10B, since Brian Nguyen's appointment in January, he's a commissioner to the Traffic Commission. He's attended one meeting but has missed the last 3. And per the municipal code, it provides that we can automatically remove without a vote of the city council if he is that absent for unexcused. And also, I wanted to let you know that Mr. Nguyen has been notified of his removal. And the recommendation tonight is to ask the city council to find and announce the vacancy on the Traffic Commission and direct the city clerk to publish a notice of vacancy pursuant to the MADI Act.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The item is so moved.
Second.
Please vote. Call for a vote.
Councilmember Beard?
Yes.
Councilmember Bowie?
Yes.
Councilmember Fawn?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Jones?
Yes.
Mayor Nguyen?
Yes. And at this time, we are going to go into closed session for the items that we haven't gone through.
Mayor, may I request an item to be discussed at the next council meeting?
Sure.
As I receive information about the Red Flags company being sued in Chicago, and that the city of Chicago is also considered join that lawsuit. I think that is a great concern to me, and I would like to recommend that with agendized an item for discussion to determine whether we should continue with such a company, especially when their share is going down to only 17 cents a share, and who knows where it will be in the near future. So I would like to ask to put that on the agenda for discussion at next meeting.
I'll take that as a motion. Is there a second?
Excuse me, is that a motion to take action on it at the next council
To
meeting?
agendize it at a future council meeting, and I'd actually like to request that it be done at the first council meeting in October.
I don't think there's a need for a vote, is there?
Yeah,
Yes, we
need
do.
one for
It's our council
discussion.
procedure.
restate it?
We do not need a vote, but I believe, according to the procedure, and correct me if I'm wrong, that I need to have someone second it. So I need to have 2 persons to
Yes.
want to put it on the agenda. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And then there's a vote required?
Yes, it is subject to a vote whether to agendize. It's not a violation of the Brown Act because it's a motion to agendize an item at the subsequent meeting or at a future meeting.
Yes. So there's been a motion to agendize a discussion for the item. I need a second to agendize this, and I'm requesting that it be agendized at the first October meeting. Is there a second to Councilmember Bowie's motion?
Did you make the second, Mayor, already? Did you make the motion? The second?
motion was by Mr. Bowie. Is there a second? I'm calling for the second.
Second.
Okay, great. Please vote. Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Beard?
Yes.
Councilmember Bowie?
Yes.
Councilmember Fawn?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Jones?
Yes.
Mayor Nguyen?
Yes. So that meeting will be on October 13th, and I imagine, is that correct? No. Yeah, it's October 13th. Is that our council meeting,
13th.
first council meeting in
13th,
October?
correct.
Yeah. Okay. And I imagine that'll give enough time for our police department to respond to our previous request?
Yep.
Thank you,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Stiles. At this point, if there are no further matters from council, we're going to go back into closed session. Mr. Stiles.
Mr. Mayor, council members, I'm not quite sure when the good time is for me to say some good news things about the city staff. And I heard Mr. Mitchell earlier talk about the fact that citizens need to report when they see things. I wanted to let all of you know a couple of our really talented young people in our IT department are working on a customer service app that I was talking about a little bit when I got here, and they have really embraced it. And I think in the coming days, weeks, we will be able to roll out to our citizens a mobile app. It's just one more way. All the cards and other things where people can call in and talk about, but this will be an app that they can use to take a photo. It'll be GPS sensitive. You see that stoplight that's out. You can take a photo of it. You can send it. It'll be received, and we can do that for all kinds of weed and litter and other things. So it's just another way that the staff are really trying to think proactively to make it easier for citizens to get engaged in their government. So we'll be coming back to you. I know we'll be publicizing it, talking about it more. I think it's really important. It's going to be great for the citizens, and I just wanted to mention that before the end of the meeting today. So
Thank you, Mr. Stiles. Do you want to talk about the putting Garden Grove on the map with Google, the partnership we're doing with the chamber as well?
Yes, that's an initiative. It's an initiative that our folks in economic development in Kingsley's department are working on. It's a way for us to invite businesses in the city of Garden Grove to come and be part of getting their businesses registered with Google, so that when anybody Googles a service that they're looking for, those businesses and those names of those businesses will come up. And if you don't necessarily do it, it won't be on the map. And so it's an initiative of our staff to do that. And we would encourage, I think, Kingsley, any business that wants to be involved in it, to come to the rollout of that they're going to do and learn how to be a part of that. And do you happen to know the date and time of that?
No, but we will put that on our website.
Okay, we'll put it on our website. And if we can kind of look that up.
Sorry,
if you
I
are
didn't
a
mean to
business.
put you on the spot like that.
No,
Mr.
no, that's good. I'd like to, if I could find it.
I read the memo. I'm trying to look for it. It's a great initiative, and I'm really happy that staff is partnering with Google to do this. And the first presentation that we have, Google Let's Get Our Cities Online program, will be on Tuesday, October 20th, right here at the Courtyard Center. And I don't know the time, but stay tuned to GG Channel 3. I'm sure you'll see a commercial where Google Let's Put Our City on the Map will roll by. So stay tuned on GG TV 3. All right.
We'll have more time to talk about it in future meetings.
Okay, great. All right, we'll go into closed session now.